Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Marcos Luis here and Ashley Elizabeth Green, and we're back for another One Mic Night Talk. We missed you guys. Thank you all for sticking around and joining us again for another episode of One Mic Night Talk. Ashley, how you doing?
Oh my gosh, I missed you. I missed everyone.
I missed you too. I don't think you realize what a big part of my life you become since we started doing this, because this gives me an avenue to talk about us and to talk about, real feelings and things like that,
I feel the same way. I remember when I contacted you because I was like, I'm finally ready to, I don't know if everybody's the same, but I just know I've been going through some things and I was like, I'm finally ready to you really don't notice how you really need an avenue to talk about things until it's not there anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And of course you're like my Jiminy Cricket because you give me the best grounding.
Right. Advice. This has been the same for me too. This has been very therapeutic, and I'm sure that the people that are listening have hopefully gotten some good value out of it as well. So yeah, like you said, what's been going on? Because I know, man, for me, 2021 kind of ended in a crazy way, and I went through a low period. But what's going on with you? We'll talk about me next.
I think if we're gonna go low and then go high vibrational, I think for me the low is like I was saying before, I just started a no contact with my family.
Okay.
And so started that with, I know I don't want to get too deep in it, but with the drama and everything, and I just learned that I need to take care of me and my wholeness and my peace. Yeah. And 2021 relationships don't work. Friendships are ending.
Yeah.
It was just
like cleaning house. Yeah.
Yeah, it was and it's cleaning house in a manner of it's not even that you're trying to clean house. It's one of those things God, spirit, whatever you believe in, you're just not vibrationally on point with people. And I just started noticing there's certain things I just can't allow in my life anymore. You know what I mean?
Good. I love this because a lot of people are not in tune to it. And so when you get in tune to that, that's when the good things start happening. Go ahead.
Yeah.
This is great. I love this.
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
I missed this because I don't know how we always get to this. But I just think what happened to me was that I just started noticing I'm how you're just working on your healing, and it just got to a point where I was just I'm exhausted. I'm done working on my healing. And then God was no, it's time to clean house. So when I would be talking to certain people or certain things be adding up or not adding up, I just started being I think what had happened was when I started doing a no contact with my family, I just started saying you know what, I really am an advocate now for myself as an adult. I'm not that little kid anymore. I support people and I need the same support. And if they don't support me, then I just can't let you be in my life anymore. And it's not even that you don't have a conversation with them. It could be that one real talk and you just hear how someone speaks to you and you're just do you, I remember I did that with pretty much everyone that I dismissed. I'm do you hear how you're speaking to me?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just, and you're just I don't hate you. I just can't have you in my life anymore.
What got you to that point? What was the thing that was the button that said, man,
I think the thing for me was just disrespect. I think that was for me. I was always just getting disrespected and I'd be what's that tone about? Or what's, I would just know, or someone not, I know we have to give other people space, right? Of course. But I just think for me, we got to a point where it's just you got to notice when you're always helping other people, because I'm learning not to be a people pleaser. So I started noticing you're always helping other people, but then it's just when it comes time for you, it's they don't have no time for you.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you gotta notice that because
you have to.
People, you make space for people and they have to make space for you. So it can't be, I just started noticing everything was one-sided.
Right. And I feel you on that because I think a lot of times we, the type of people that we are, and that I know you to be, you're a giver. You're concerned. You're compassionate. You know what I mean? You're a good friend. You're always there. But then when it comes back around, when you need someone to be your backbone, where are they? Who's there to support you? Who's there to support your endeavors? Who's there when Ashley needs a shoulder to cry on, or just to talk about something that's really, really important?
That's basically what I need. Yeah. I just need to talk. I just need to talk. Like I love when I call you. Like I'd be like, look, and you're giving me some grounding advice. And as soon as we get off the phone, I let it go, and I feel so much better. Right. And I just noticed with some people, it's that like, and also I know this is what I noticed, and that's what really made me be like on that, like, okay, God, like we're letting people go, is that I started noticing that because I'm a giver, it made me start thinking that I'm flawed in being a giver. Like, it made me start thinking like, am I wrong for being a giver? Should I not be a giver? And I started thinking, no, it's just that they can't reciprocate what your love language is, and it's just time for a new season with new friends. And
they
that was that.
Can't reciprocate what your love language is.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, and that's the reality of it. That's true. They can't.
They can't, and it's that they can't, and that they won't. And because there's a difference between someone not knowing something, but when you tell people, and especially the people I'm talking about, I've been friends with them for like years or even 2 years. So it's not like we're talking about people who don't know, it's not like, you know what I mean? But you just have to sometimes just be like, and like I said before, I pick peace over everything. And I just started making those decisions, like, or at the end of the day, they would make those decisions for me on how they would speak to me.
Right. And I think that's truly the hard part, because like you said, you pick peace, I pick peace. But at the end of the day, we do need some sort of human connection too. We can't live in isolation. We can't live alone. We need, human connection, but you choose to make the peace within yourself. So those people that you do connect with, you continue the relationship with, you continue to reach out to, but we do have to find the peace within ourselves so that we can function and push forward, move forward.
Right, definitely. Right. And I just feel like your tribe everyone doesn't have to agree. Like that's why I said, I love talking to people who are thinking different than me in the world, and they can give me like, hey, Ash, I think not that you're wrong, but let's look at it in a different way. Right. You know what I mean? And I also love my friends where they're like, I hear what you're saying, but why don't you just put that in a box and just let it sit there for a second before you make a judgment on it. Right. You know what I mean? And absolutely, I feel like, I love my different friends with their different worldviews, but it also has to be with respect. And I just noticed the common denominator for these people, they were very disrespectful to me, and they just didn't care on how they spoke to me. Right. And I think for me, dealing with family trauma and things like that, I really pay attention to how people speak to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a softie in a matter of like, I need someone to be so sweet and so kind, but I do need you to have some type of delicacy when you do talk to me. Especially when it's something serious, because everybody who knows me, I'm usually a person like, oh, I'm good, I'm okay. So if I talk to you about something, it's serious. You know what I mean? It's something.
Well, I think a lot of times too, I do the same thing, but I also have to understand where someone else is coming to. Maybe they're not used to speaking with delicacy. Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe it was the way they were brought up. Maybe, but if you're my friend, then you have to be at a point where you understand that I need that kind of delicacy or deal with me in a certain way. And however else you deal with other people, that's how you deal with them. But when we're talking one-on-one, sometimes I need to talk to you like this, Ashley, and you need that understanding. You know what I mean? Like, I have to, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. Yeah. And that's what people need. You have to be able to read your friends. Yeah, you have to. And that's what it's all about.
And I know for me, I've always been the friend where I always look at things in a funny way, or it's like, it's not that deep as like sometimes my friends take it, or I'd be like, or I'm also that friend like, just meditate and pray on it, and then just see how I'm one of those friends, like if you call me at night, I'd be like, wait, won't you see how you feel in the morning? Because you know how we feel in the morning, it's totally different.
Completely different, yeah.
So I'd be like, let's talk about it now and just vent it out, but then let's work on solving it tomorrow.
Right.
Because I know it's like we be in a whole different place of mind.
Because you're at that moment, you're in the heat of the moment. There's a passion going on, and then if you sleep on it, you wake up, you've had time to think, process it, and you can come back and have a clear mind on everything. Listen, I know what you mean. 2021 was a great year for me. Okay, overall.
Yes.
But the end of the year, I hit a low. And people that know me know that I'm always grinding. I'm up, I'm doing my thing. It's very rare that I get in a place where I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
So at the end of the year, you know, I got COVID. I was so careful, you know, through the whole 2.5 years of this process. And the last week during Christmas and New Year's, I got COVID. So this was a time where my mother was here because I just moved my mother across the country. So she was staying with me until the house was ready. So she was literally in my apartment for about a month. So I was coughing. I went to my job. I was coughing and sneezing, and I said, oh God, here we go. Let me look up what Omicron is and what the symptoms are. I looked it up. They said coughing is one of them, sneezing, throat. I said, let me walk up to, you know, the health center and get a test. So I kind of had a feeling that I probably had it. So I walked over to the Dwayne Reed, got some Pine Sol because I know that kills the COVID germs. Mommy's in the house. Yep, 99.9 Pine Sol. Shout out to Pine Sol. This is not a paid endorsement. But
Pine Sol.
Feeling COVID. But yeah, you know, so I got some just in case. So I went home. As I was walking home, the health center called and they said, yeah, you tested positive. So I was like, HELL, what am I going to do? So that weekend I helped a friend move. So I called him right away. I was like, listen, you got to get a test because you might have it too. So he went downstairs, took a test. He had it too. So I said, well, guess what? I'm coming over. Because you know what I mean? Like I had no other choice. Where am I going to go? I can't stay at home. So I dropped out the Pine Sol, put my keys down on the counter, got my bag, just start packing stuff. Told my mom I was leaving, staying at a friend's house. She's like, oh, okay. She didn't know what was going on. So the next day I called her and I told her, I was like, listen, they tested positive for COVID. I just wanted you to be safe. You feel okay? She's like, yeah, I feel fine. I said, okay, so I'm in my friend's house and I'm going to stay here until, you know, it's over. So right then is when they just switched it from having a 14-day quarantine to 5-day quarantine. So I was lucky with that. My friend ended up having symptoms worse than I did. So I was like, I got to get out of here. You know what I mean? Like my symptoms are done. My 5 days are done, but I got to get out of here.
You were like healed very quickly.
I was like healed right away. Yeah, I had very mild symptoms. So I was like, I got to get the fuck out of here. So I ended up getting out of there. But during that time, I just went through you have so much time on your hands. You can't work. You can't do anything. The show was on pause. You know what I mean? Like it was holidays.
How long, not to, butt in.
Yeah.
How long were you like sick for? Like, was it a week or was it?
So I had the coughing for 2 days, and then I think for literally 7 days, for 1 week, maybe a little over 1 week.
Did it feel like the flu?
It felt like the flu, and then there were days and periods. It would come in waves. There were periods, like one day I would have a wave of my energy being sucked out of me. And I just, like, I had to stop what I was doing and go lay down and go to sleep. Like I literally had to, like, you feel it coming on and you just be like, I gotta go. So you just walk up to the bed and you'd be like,
wow.
It just went in waves for me. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, we pretty much we ordered some food from, you know, to be delivered at home, just making soup and liquids and vitamins, and you know, you just kept doing that. That was it. But you just like during that time, you just started thinking, you know, like, where am I going? What am I doing? Who are my friends? Who can help me? What, like all these things just start going through your mind.
It's so funny because when you get sick, you think about things that don't even really matter.
Yep.
Like you just need to get healed.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it.
Yep.
That's all.
Yep. And on top of the pandemic, you can't go anywhere. You're supposed to stay in the house. You know what I mean? So it was rough. It was rough.
Yeah. 2021 was the girlfriend who like did the fake out.
Yep.
But I'm back.
Who ghosted me and then came back.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
That's 2020. But I feel like 2022 is much more. I'm starting to like it. it's been rough. It's been rough in a manner of like, it's been rough, but there's been beautiful, joyous moments at the same time. You know what I mean?
Me too.
Because I feel like, I remember we were talking about this, like, I know when you're still trying to figure out how to do the thing, but at the end of the day, at least you're at the point where it's like, you know what you want to do.
Right.
You just need to know, like, how do I get to do it full time? You know what I mean? Like, how do I get to the next level of the thing that I want to do?
And so this is what I'm living by. This is the goal. Like, I don't usually make goals for New Year's and things like that. This is like a year-long goal, is to learn, is learning about as much as I can about everything that I can learn that's going to push me forward. So every day I'm trying to learn something new in terms of business, in terms of, you know, my craft, in terms of, you know, what's going to push me forward, in terms of building myself for the future. So that's my goal. So I've been, you know, surrounding myself, like they say, with people who know more than me, people who know what I want to know, and talking to them and learning this knowledge. And now I'm finally executing it. And I think that's the biggest problem that we have, is that we learn, but we don't do anything. We don't execute our knowledge. Yeah. That's what's holding us back.
That's true. I agree with
what's holding us.
Yeah. That is so true. And,
you know what I mean? And we have to get beyond that. No, it's just a mindset that we have to get beyond. And we take this knowledge, we take it, we see it. Oh yeah, I see it. I'll do it. No, actually execute it. Execute this knowledge. And that's where I am. And not be afraid to letting some stuff go. I'm letting shit go. Just like you let people go, I'm letting people go. I'm letting things go. And I'm not looking back.
That's the one thing I came to a realization yesterday. When I was writing in my journal, I was just like, there's a lot of old goals that I don't want anymore. And I think that's what was frustrating me, because you get so used to these goals that didn't get met. You know what I mean? That's it.
We have to allow these old goals to go. You don't want it because you change. We change. Yeah. We don't need that. We don't need those. We have new goals now.
And I think that's what was holding me back the first time we were talking. I was feeling down.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at my goals. It's like, you don't even want to do that anymore.
Nope.
And maybe the reason why you still probably think you want to do it is because other people see you in a matter of like, they think you should do it. So you started to believe that.
Yep.
And you need to let that go.
Right.
That's not what you want to do anymore.
Right.
You know
and because what I just said, you've learned something new, and now maybe it's shifted you in a different direction. Your trajectory is something different now. It's something different.
Totally different.
Yeah. And we have to allow that. We have to allow it.
And when I did that, I felt so much pressure even off myself of like, I'm going with my new goals, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with my new goals. And I also love that you said about learning, because I was reading, I forget who it was I was following. I think it was Create the Love on Instagram. But he was saying that when you learn something, it stops you from having fear. Because he was saying, one of the reasons why we have fear about things, because we don't know.
We don't know. Yes.
We're uncertain. So when you like find the information and learn it and execute it, if you notice, you don't have fear as much. Mm-hmm. You might be nervous.
Right.
But nervous with preparation feels different.
It sure does.
You don't know anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm learning that too. Like, if you once I get nervous or I feel like I'm getting anxiety about something, it's like, why you're doing that, Ash? Oh, because you don't know anything.
You don't know. Yeah.
And it's like one of those old patterns that I'm trying to get rid of too. Like, don't let the anxiety come up where it's just like, why are you getting anxiety about it? That means you just don't know it.
Right.
So that means you need to find out, what's this new thing that you're interested in? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And we don't have to. I mean, and I think that, and I don't want to say this is an ageist thing, but I feel like people who are older stick to a more traditional, and set way of life and thinking. And people who are younger allow themselves the risk and the freedom to do a lot more.
I think you're so right. I caught myself doing that.
Yeah.
And I also realized that, because I was like, why do I feel like in my early 30s, right? I was more adventurous. No, my 20s, I wasn't adventurous. I was much more scared all the time. But I will say I did give things a little bit of more try, but I feel like my early 30s, I was very, very like adventurous. And I just started wondering, like, I still need that type of no fear. Because I've noticed, like, I'm like, Ash, when you travel, you ain't got no fear. You don't even care about having Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So the same way how you do other things, you need to bring that in your everyday life. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm getting better at that.
Okay. That's where we are. We got to do it. We have to be fearless. In order to get some things in life.
And walk through the fear. Like walk through the fear.
Yep.
Walk through the fear. Walk through the fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Walk the path. Like I'm really starting to learn that like excitement is the cousin to fear. You know what I mean? Because it's just another sense of like, that's all it is, just a different vibration of it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
They walk hand in hand.
Yeah, they walk hand in hand. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And once you get the knowledge, you're good.
You're good.
Yeah.
How do you stay grounded in life? Because there's so much stuff going on, and you know, with having fear and trying new things and learning new things. How do we stay grounded? You know,
oh my God.
I
stay grounded by my devotions. And what I mean by that is my morning rituals. Like I pray, I meditate. I usually listen to a uplifting message, which is usually by Michael Beckwith. He's really, really good. He's the pastor and co-founder of Agape Church. And their church is really centered on metaphysics and meditation. So I love that. And also I think I just stay grounded. I'm gonna be honest, like besides all of that, when that doesn't work, I'm really one of those people, like I'll turn on my recorder for my video camera or for audio, or I might do the old school and look in the mirror and I just have a real pep talk.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I'm gonna be honest. I'll be like, me in the mirror like this. And I'm like, girl, today is not a good day. What we about to do? Or I'd be like, if it's been going on for weeks, what are we unhappy about?
Right.
I'll just have a real pep talk.
This is kind of a weird question, but do you feel like you're your own best friend? Or do you and I don't mean that in like a crazy way. I just mean like sometimes.
But I love how you said it.
I mean, like, do you, because that just made me think, like, who do you go to when you need to talk? Do you have a pep talk with yourself, like you just said, or is there someone that you relate to?
No, I go to my friends. Don't get me wrong. Like, I go to my friends. But what I'm saying is, like, sometimes when you have to have those real deep discussions where it's just like, there's like stuff that you just can't really talk about with them.
Right.
Like, I just think there's just stuff that's like really, really deep that sometimes it's like, you really can't say to another person.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
When I have that talk in the mirror where I'm just like, Ashley, you're really unhappy. I mean, like, it's the type of talk where it's like, I don't need a friend to be like, look, so joy comes in the morning and today it's gonna, no.
Yeah. Right.
It's like one of those, it's because it's the process of, for me, that I might need to sob and cry and really just look deep, like, actually, you're just really unhappy and you need to figure out why you're unhappy and what's triggering you.
Yeah.
It's just one of those, I just think sometimes you just need to have those deep conversations with yourself.
Yep, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
I believe being in that shadow work, that keeps you grounded because it's like, you gotta be real with yourself. And nobody else can get you out of that or make you feel better. Because I think sometimes that's not as healthy. Like when you're trying to call, like if I called you and I'm trying to get out of being sad, sometimes you need to sit in that.
Yeah, you do.
Like I've learned to be like, don't be upset about it. Like sit in that.
Yeah, sit in and ask yourself questions. Ask yourself the pertinent questions, because no matter how well somebody knows you, you do know yourself better than anybody.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is, and I wasn't really trying to be funny, because I have
you said it.
Yeah, the way I said it was funny, but I have 5 people who are my best friends, and I can call them my best friends because they've been there. But when it comes down to me, motivating myself, reassuring myself, if I'm feeling a certain way, I really have to take a look at myself and do it myself.
Yeah.
Me. So I am my own best friend.
Yeah, definitely.
You can relate to these people, and I relate to them all differently.
You have to. Yeah. You are your longest relationship to be in.
Exactly. You have to be okay with that too.
Right. And I also believe, like, I keep telling people, like, stop looking for your person and the one. You are your one.
You are the one. You are the one.
You are the one. You are your soulmate. You know what I mean? Like, other people who come in your life, they are beautiful people, beautiful spirits that help show you, like, the good side of you and the bad side of you. Well, not bad, but the cause and effect of who you are, the things you've been involving. But I just feel like at the end of the day, like, you are your person. You you are the longest commitment ever to yourself.
And that's partially too, which goes back to what we're saying. You're ever changing. We're ever changing. We're always learning, and we're always metamorphosizing into something else. And so even if you're with somebody that you think is your soulmate, there's at some point there's going to be a connection that's lost that may drive you somewhere else. You may not be together for eternity. You may not be together for 50, 60, 70 years. Mm-hmm. You were souls that met at a specific point in time. Yeah. And then maybe you decide collectively that you want to go on to something else, and somebody else ignites you in a different way.
Right. Because we're always
changing.
And if we don't always want the same things, that's when you evolve. You're like, I want something different. I love you, but I want something different.
Something different, yeah.
I think that's when we get into stop attaching ourselves to people.
Right.
Be more present, but stop attaching yourself to, like, this is who I am when I'm with this person. This is where I want to stay. You can't stay there. Right. You gotta grow.
And if you are in a relationship with someone, you allow them to grow, and you grow, and hopefully there's a common thread line that you meet in the middle, and you're still growing. Everybody's still growing, but there's there's a middle.
Everybody's still growing, and I mean, I hope that happens. But I've also been learning that a lot of relationships don't last long, because, and I noticed the relationships that I even tried to have, I noticed they don't last long because people fall in love too much with your flowers and not your roots. So
well, hello.
Yeah.
Good morning, sunshine. What?
Good morning. It's Sunday.
They fall in love with your flowers, not your roots.
They do. Yeah, they fall in love with flowers, and that can mean aesthetic. That can mean the benefits of what you give. That can mean what they feel like in a relationship, but they don't really give as much as you give. That can mean anything that's tangible or that's not really firmly rooted. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and I believe roots are the shadow parts of us. Because I don't like saying bad, I like saying shadow. But the shadow parts of us and the things that makes us who we are. Our anger, our fear, our anxiety, sometimes maybe our mental illness, whatever those things are, like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to fall in love with those roots.
Right. And I think that's a difficult one too, because when you're in a relationship with someone, a lot of times that stuff doesn't come out right away. You don't know the person's roots. You know some of the roots, but there are always skeletons in the closet that people don't disclose, and they eventually come out. So it's hard, and if you then, when you do find out, like, what some of these roots are, then you have to decide whether or not you can stay with it, whether or not you can handle it, whether or not it may be too much for someone.
Right, definitely.
So I think it's tough.
Yeah, I think it's like you have to get real with yourself on, like, what can you handle? Yeah. But I also believe you really can't handle people's stuff if you haven't taken care of your own stuff.
Right. Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I know with me, I noticed there's one thing I can't handle. I can handle very intense men who are, like, very, very intense, and I don't mind it just because like I am that point sometimes, but also like I handle my own stuff. So I don't mind handling a man who's like intense or seem like he carries the world on his shoulders, because I'm like, I know how to lighten that load up, but I also know how to carry that too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those things, but the only reason I know how is because I used to be like that type of person. Mm-hmm. So it's just, once you start doing accountability and taking care of your own stuff, you're able to take care of somebody else's stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or share it.
Yeah.
You know,
share. Mm-hmm. Right.
You know? So yeah.
Well, something like that, I think it's a situation that unfortunately a lot of men carry, and I'm going to say men of color on that one, specifically Black men, the outlook of life, based on where we come from and the way society treats us. That's a whole nother conversation. But
that just
what I mean? Yeah.
Y'all have it so bad that like I just read, I think the Huffington Post, I don't remember. Don't quote me, guys. Do not quote me. But it was saying that, and it was so, I was like, oh, that just hit me a different way when I read it. It was saying Black women do not benefit from marrying a Black man. And I was like,
what was the reason behind that? You
guys do not have the education, the resources, the status, the access to things. And I was like so shocked by that.
Agree or disagree? I'll say it for you. I mean, I understand what they're saying.
Okay, because I was about to say like that's not a yes or no for me. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna be on the boat of like yeah. I don't agree with that
100%. No, of course not.
But this is what I will say. I will say it depends on what the woman is looking for. I just think to say a broad statement and say married Black man does not benefit a Black woman in marriage, I think that's too broad of a statement.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what I think. I think it depends on what you're looking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know for me, I'm an ambitious woman, so there's certain things that I don't need from a male partner. You know what I mean? Like, I could marry a teacher.
I'm not sure if that's what they mean. I mean, I didn't read the article, but possibly they're delving into the psychological and financial of the Black male based on the history of this country.
Right.
So that's probably what they're talking about.
I think too, that depends on what you're looking for. Not everybody wants, I just think sometimes this is the American thing, right? I just think sometimes we get caught up in everybody wants the American dream. Everybody doesn't want that.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
But I also don't like, I mean, I don't know. I get a little bit sensitive when they talk about my Black brothers. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, we have to be defensive. We have to be defensive.
I just feel like that's just to me, I feel like that's just like really, I don't know. I don't like when people target you guys like y'all like on the low, totem pole, like.
Well, I mean, sadly, that's the reality of it. I mean, it's changing. It definitely is changing. And as we get more of a chance in society to increase our knowledge, to increase our wealth, to increase our loving capacity, that's changing. But historically, that's how it's been. We've always been the bottom of the totem pole. We've always been that. The most hated, the most, hated and desired at the same time. Yeah.
When I told you about that article, I feel like it didn't even make you flinch. Are you just so like as a Black man, or you're just like, oh, that's nothing?
It's because I believe it. I don't believe it 100%. I mean, I didn't read the article, so I don't know, but I do know that, once you get to a certain age range of Black men, we all have different experiences. And when I interview people, we talk about this. There's some people who come from the ghettos, the hard life. I didn't come from that. So my experience in life and loving and looking at women and looking at people is completely different than another Black man. I went to a boarding school, I had, what I'm saying? I went to a top 10, like Ivy League college. Like these things are all different from the majority of people. So my life experience is different. So to lump everybody in the same category, you can't. You know, we have people who are Black, Afro-Latino, Afro-French, we're all different. So you can't really put everybody in the same category. We all have different experiences. So it's hard to make that kind of generalization. Yeah. But I could see what they're trying to say with it.
Yeah, I get what they're saying. Like, I mean, there is like I have dated outside of my race plenty of times, and it is a different type of access and world. But the one thing I really noticed, besides the financial difference dating someone outside my race, is that the trauma isn't there. I would say it's not as embedded as it is. Like a lot of guys I dated, like they didn't really have any traumas. You know what I mean? Like they would be like, "Oh, my dad wasn't there, but you know, my mom took care of me," and they'd be like, "But I had to live a happy life," and they're close with their mom.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they don't. There's something about like if they had a rough upbringing, they don't embed it. They're just like, you know, it was a little rough. You know, my mom was single and then I got a stepdad, but I'm good. You know what I mean? It was just the way how they embedded or computed, you know, it was just way different than how I would deal with things, you know? So I learned a lot on how to like, don't, you know, like internalize every little thing that goes wrong, you know? So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a whole deep conversation. I mean, it's pretty big. Yeah. Well, everybody, let us know what you think about that. Does the Black man in society have it the worst? Are we down on the bottom of the totem pole? How are you living your life? Are you grounded in what you do, and what do you do to keep yourself grounded? And also, how did 2021 end up for you? Please comment below. Let us know. Reach out to us. DM us. You can find me at Marcos Luis on Instagram, Marcos Luis everything, but hit me up on Instagram, MarcosLuis.
All right.
And how can they find you?
Yeah. I'm always in my DMs, so please DM me. I'm at Ashley Elizabeth Green, Instagram.
That's right.
And Ashley Elizabeth Green on Facebook and Twitter. I think Ashley Elizabeth Green, but I don't know for sure. But definitely
Aspired Living. You're Aspired Living.
Yes,
Aspired Living. Yes.
Yes.
On Instagram. On Twitter.
So
yeah, please hit us up. Use the hashtag OneMicNite and let us know what you think. And thank you for joining us for this episode of OneMicNite Talk. We'll see you next time. We're out. Later.